From being a happy, charismatic manager,
and I was like so happy. Of course, you can see it in every intervention that I have.
To becoming a depressed one.
Hello, darkness, my old friend.
From being one of the most highly sought after managers in Europe.
What he did at Sporting Lisbon was fantastic. You know, he looked like the next big thing as a manager.
To becoming the worst manager in Manchester United's history.
From those first 33 games, he's almost on a... We almost need another screen to put him on. The margins are absolutely huge.
What the hell happened to Ruben Amorim?
You can feel it that something has to change, and you are not going to change 22 players again.
For many, Amorim's stubbornness and inability to be flexible with a system are what caused him to struggle at United.
He's the least flexible manager managing at elite level. Maybe that's ever managed in the game.
His obsession with the 3-back, even when it's not working, caused his side to never progress.
All the best managers have tweaked their teams. He doesn't seem to be able to do it, and he is sticking to this 3-4-2-1 system.
When he first arrived, you could justify the poor results. He wasn't backed financially and had no preseason to work with the team.
I think he's got a bit of credit on what he did last year, coming to Man United when they were struggling a wee bit. So he came last year, he didn't really want to come last season. So I think they've given him a wee bit of credit in the bank there.
But now United have spent big to bring in the players he wants.
The money that's been spent has been big, and there's some things that I'm seeing that are a massive worry, and some things that can't happen.
He had a full preseason, and he has all week to prepare for games because United only play one match per week.
Ruben Amorim's had a preseason. He's had a week now in between each of his games nearly, or most of the weeks, because Manchester United aren't in Europe. Yet the performances are as poor as ever. The results are catastrophic, really, in Manchester United terms.
They don't even have to worry about the Carabao Cup after losing to Grimsby. They were for real eliminated from the tournament before any other big Premier League club had even entered the competition. But when we look at Amorim's journey, you understand why he lives and dies by his system. It seems like it wasn't that long ago that Ruben Amorim was a player. In fact, here he is being subbed on for Cristiano Ronaldo. But despite his 14 caps for Portugal and playing for Benfica as a central midfielder, Amorim knew that he would be a better manager than player. After retiring in 2017, Amorim swiftly transitioned into coaching. If you want to learn coaching, who better to learn from than one of the greatest managers of all time in Jose Mourinho? Amorim spent a week-long internship under Mourinho in 2018. Back when he was managing Manchester United. Mourinho had done a similar thing when he was younger, rising through the ranks, working under Sir Bobby Robson at Sporting and Porto, as well as Louis van Gaal at Barcelona. What better way to learn than to be mentored by somebody who has achieved exactly what you're looking to achieve? After some learning though, Amorim decided it was time for him to actually start managing, doing the real thing, getting his hands dirty. His managerial career began in 2018 with Casa Pia, a team competing in Portugal's 3rd division. It was actually during his tenure there that he introduced his back 3 system, which has become a hallmark of his tactical approach. He switched to it after losing his first 2 games in charge, realizing that the formation emphasized defensive solidity and flexibility, allowing for quick transitions between defending and attack. But he faced setback early on. In January 2019, Amorim and Casa Pia faced sanctions from the Portuguese Football Federation. The club was deducted 6 points and Amorim received a 1-year suspension for providing instructions during match without holding the UEFA coaching license. Although these penalties were later suspended, this incident led to him resigning from the club. The experience though highlighted the importance of formal coaching credentials in professional football. In an effort to avoid a situation like that happening again, Amorim attended a fast-track course in Belfast, showing his commitment to adhere to regulatory standards and advancing his managerial career. But despite him managing without a qualification, the stuff that he learned at Casa Pia laid the groundwork for his future success with clubs like Braga and Sporting. Amorim's tenure at Braga, though brief, was actually marked by significant achievements and tactical innovation in his game that elevated his profile in Portuguese football. In September of 2019, Amorim was appointed the head coach of Braga's B team, who was also competing in Portugal's 3rd tier. His effective man management and tactical knowledge was obvious to see from the beginning, which led to his promotion in December of 2019 to becoming the head coach of Braga's 1st team. At the time that he joined, Braga was 8th in the league. Amorim decided to implement his dynamic 3-4-3 formation. He put an emphasis on attacking play, high pressing, and flexibility to change within games. His system worked. He was able to get the best out of the players at his disposal, maximizing the strength of each player. On the 25th of January 2020, Braga won the Portuguese League Cup after defeating Porto 1-0 with a last-minute goal from Ricardo Horta. This was Braga's first major trophy in 4 years, and it showed Amorim's immediate positive impact on the team. The next month, Braga beat Benfica 1-0 at the Estádio da Luz, their first away win against Benfica in 65 years. In back-to-back months, Amorim had showed his impact, with Braga making history. With Amorim in charge, Braga reached the round of 32 in the UEFA Europa League in the 2020 season. Although they ended up losing to Rangers 4-2 on aggregate, Braga's performances showed just how good of a manager Amorim was. His attention to detail, the tactical discipline he had implemented on the team, and their competitiveness. And he began to attract attention from larger clubs. In March of 2020, Sporting appointed him as their head coach, triggering his €10 million release clause, a record managerial transfer fee in Portuguese football. His departure from Braga was met with mixed reactions. People recognized his contributions at Braga and how good of a manager he looked, but they also understood the challenges of joining a club mid-season. But Amorim had learned a lot from his tenure at Braga. He had learned how to be a better man manager, improved his leadership qualities, and his 3-4-3 system began to get better and better. More importantly, he had learned how to make an impact on teams right away. Despite his limited top-flight managerial experience, Amorim quickly installed his system onto the Sporting team. Under Amorim's guidance, Sporting clinched the Primeira Liga title in the 2020-2021 season, ending a 19-year championship drought. The team remained unbeaten for the majority of the campaign, showing their defensive solidity and ability to hit teams quickly on transition. Amorim's 3-4-3 formation had worked again. His high pressing and fluid transitions were central to his success. Sporting also secured the Portuguese League Cup in January of 2021, defeating Braga, his former club, 1-0 in the final. Building on their previous season's triumphs, they sustained their success in the 2021-2022 season. Sporting continued to dominate domestically, but now even made strides in European competitions. The team reached the round of 16 in the Champions League, demonstrating how much better they had gone under Amorim's leadership. They also secured the Portuguese Super Cup after defeating Braga 2-1 in July of 2021. Amorim continued his managerial development in the 2023 season, this time integrating young talents from the club's academy into the first team. He was learning how to maintain a balance between experienced players and emerging prospects. Even though he was integrating players that had little experience, Sporting remained competitive in the league, finishing as runners-up, and continued to participate in European competitions, reaching the quarterfinals of the UEFA Europa League. Keep in mind, a big reason why Ruben Amorim had to do this was because Sporting continued to lose big players. João Paulinho, a pivotal defensive midfielder, was sold to Fulham. Matheus Nunes, a fantastic central midfielder, ended up joining Wolves. Nuno Mendes, a talented left back, ended up going to PSG, and Pedro Porro, who was a super important right wing back to Ruben Amorim, ended up going to Tottenham. Nevertheless, in the 2023-2024 season, under Amorim's leadership, Sporting continued to get better, securing their 20th Portuguese League title. They weren't just attacking well, they also had a very resilient defense. All of it could be seen over their incredible 8-0 victory over Casa Pia, their largest league win since 2018. Amorim's tactical flexibility and his effective man management were so critical in a successful campaign. His 3-4-3 was flexible. It didn't always look like a 3-back. It would shift and transition depending on the opposition. His leadership was clearly visible. Just look at how the Sporting players looked up to him and celebrated with him in his last few matches in charge. Maybe it's because he was a player himself. Maybe it's because he's relatively young compared to the players. Either way, he was able to communicate his message really well with everyone at the club. Everything he did at Sporting worked. He won 2 Portuguese league titles, a League Cup, and a Super Cup. In a league where the talk is usually always about Benfica and Porto, Amorim established Sporting as a dominant force in Portuguese league football, very much disrupting the duopoly that was in place. It's easy to see the parallels between Mourinho, who turned Porto into a powerhouse, as well as Amorim's success with Sporting. In the 2003 season, Mourinho led Porto to a treble, winning the Portuguese League, Portuguese Cup, and the UEFA Cup. Then the next season, they retained the league title and won the Champions League. Both managers delivered swift success. Mourinho won multiple trophies within 2 seasons, while Amorim ended Sporting's long title drought in just his first full season at the club. Amorim didn't get to achieve the European success that he wanted with Sporting, which is a shame, because under him, Sporting were at the top of the Champions League table. But at United, this approach just didn't work. In typical United fashion, he began to isolate the players that he didn't want.
Our team should be so much better with Rashford, but this Rashford, he has to change. If he change, we are more than welcome to put a talent like Rashford, and we need it.
So, but in this moment, I think it's really clear that we have to set some standards. That's all.
And even without those guys, he still couldn't get results. They got clapped by a City side out of form.
This is not the Manchester City of 2-3 years ago when they were absolutely incredible. The levels aren't the same, even in this game where they won 3-0 and they were comfortable winners.
They lost to Brentford. They can't even string together 2 wins in a row. They are just the gift that keeps giving.
Every defeat is a crisis if you're the Manchester United manager, and he's had plenty in his short period in time.
Every time you think they've hit rock bottom, they dig a little deeper.
So what we thought maybe were the worst moments in the last 7 or 8 years, they're gradually getting, we're actually not at the low point yet.
This is Ruben Amorim's record in the Premier League.
The record is ugly. I'm talking about Ruben Amorim's Premier League record since coming in, and of course...
You put mine up then.
you play 3 at the back.
It's not far off.
He has the worst win percentage of any permanent Man United manager since the Second World War.
Playing for Man United to compete against other good teams, and United can't do that.
Now, I get they have had some problems and the squad isn't great, and they've already played some tough fixtures, but this win rate is genuinely shocking.
Obviously, what he's doing right now is not working. Since his first Premier League game, I think he's got less points than some of the worst teams in the Premier League.
Relegation level form.
So it's not a record that you should have in Manchester United.
You look at this record and you would think that he inherited a recently promoted squad, not a team that was coming off the back of actually winning silverware.
There'll be no Manchester United fan that exists that isn't worried at this moment in time about what's going to happen in this next month.
This is United's worst start to a Premier League season since 1992-1993, back when they also only got 4 points from their opening 4 matches. Then of course you remember that they also exited the Carabao Cup after a humiliating second round loss to League 2 Grimsby. That doesn't even sound like a real name, it sounds like a character from Harry Potter.
And we come to the game with a 4th division team and we perform like that. I think, again, the players clearly show what they want.
In games of football like this, when you play lower league opposition, if you don't do the basics well, you're going to come unstuck.
This means that United can only compete in the Premier League and FA Cup, and I wouldn't call what they're doing in the Premier League competing. Did I also mention that they failed to score in 13 of 31 league games and only found the net 36 times? Despite the shocking form though, Amorim refuses to change anything.
But I'm not going to change. When I want to change my philosophy, I will change. If not, you have to change the man.
The system is the system. And, you know, United fans will like it or they won't like it, but Amorim's not going to change. He's going to die in his own ditch if he's going to die in terms of losing his job.
His comments after that Arsenal game have aged like milk.
We proved today that we can win any game in the Premier League, especially against a great team like Arsenal, and we were the better team. So I'm happy with the players.
People gave him the benefit of the doubt in his first year because he had no preseason and no financial backing. But United spent the entire GDP of the Marshall Islands, yes, that's a real place, to bring in some good players, and now Amorim had a full preseason.
So as much as the manager's gone, this is where we're going, lads, and at the start you're probably going, yeah, new manager, new ideas, something different. But as the results don't come and you keep getting beaten or you're struggling against the better teams, if the players start doubting this system, and we saw some of the goals they're giving up today where some are going, some aren't, some are pressing, he's making loads of changes, he's chopping it back with the Maguire at the back, he's bringing Casemiro, and it's like if they're going on in circles, this United group.
There are no more excuses.
Almost the same problems as last year, and what we were told, the new manager needs a pre-season, he needs his own players. I don't know how much I've spent, another good few hundred million.
200 million, yeah.
200 million?
Over 200 million.
Over 200 million. So we keep making excuses, but at some stage you go, well, when are we going to see the signs?
Other managers have had a much bigger impact in far less time.
Now, people say give manager time, and of course, but we saw Slot going into Liverpool last year. Liverpool might have been a kind of a better team United at that stage, but he ends up winning the league. You look at other managers, you see Frank going into Spurs, you go, am I going to see signs of Spurs improving? And yeah. So how long do you keep waiting when this team are probably getting a point a game?
Can you trust the manager to make the right decisions? There's no evidence since he's been at the club that you can trust him to make the right decisions.
Great managers get the most out of the tools at their disposal, and I feel like Amorim hasn't really done that. In fact, you could even argue that we didn't even see enough progress to justify the 200 mil that was spent. Of course, a new goalie and midfielder would greatly help this team, but the way they are playing, they need more than just that. They are not at that stage where you can say they are 1 to 2 players away from achieving success. And I'm sorry, if you can't find a way to use a talent like Kobbie Mainoo in your system, then maybe it's not a good system. There's a fine line between sticking to your guns and being adaptable, and Amorim has not been able to find that balance. It's basically his way or the highway, and so far most teams have found the weaknesses in his 3-4-3 setup. The Fulham players were literally talking about it in the post-match press conference.
Push on high, and it allows me to go in that pocket. It's something we worked on in training and we're able to execute in the match. I mean, we knew that we'd be able to get behind their 2 midfields and the 3 centre-backs wouldn't want to jump, so we exploited that today.
The one person who might be enjoying this downfall of Ruben Amorim is Kobbie Mainoo, because under any other manager, he plays. To see what happened to this poor guy, you have to check out this video right here.